Hi there, meteorologist Daniel Grant here in the 9 News Weather Center tracking our spring thunderstorms. In fact, some of them already turning severe across parts of the metro area. I've been looking at large hail out there, quite the light show, and of course, the heavy downpours and even some flooding too. So many of you have been sending us in photos and videos. Thanks so much. Keep them coming. I want to show you the area that we're going to keep a close eye on until about 9 o'clock tonight. That's up and down the I-25 corridor all the way off to I-76, I-70 heading out toward Lyman. This is going to be the area under the severe thunderstorm watch until 9 o'clock. The biggest threats that we're looking at today, large hail, already seen it, plus some incredibly strong wind gusts, easily upwards of 60 to 65 miles per hour. The showers and thunderstorms kind of pushing off of the mountains, rolling off the foothills, and now impacting the Front Range dramatically. I just threw on the lightning tracker across the I-25 corridor as these storms rumble off to the northeast. We're looking at more than 200 lightning strikes. A lot of folks have been sending us in all the videos and, of course, capturing the hail in their backyard too. I want to start with these storms up there in northern Colorado. These areas in blue that you see, that is the hail that is embedded within those thunderstorms out there. So these cells have been severe. They have been putting down quite a lot of hail. Some areas looking at quarter to nickel size hail. Again, that storm that's right there across Highway 85, tracking to the north, heading toward Greeley as we speak. Longmont, Erie, you folks getting in on the action too. That storm that was over Arvada about 20 minutes ago, now shifting to the north, weakening just a bit around Broomfield, but you can see around Commerce City and even out toward DIA, we're looking at heavier pockets of rain. I had to take off the lightning strikes, even though we know they're out there, just because it's a little tough to see. Looking across downtown Denver right now, we have some pretty strong thunderstorms over the area. You can just kind of see by the coloring contours, especially over Glendale, incredibly heavy rain coming through, and then a little bit of hail. Wouldn't be surprised right there around 225 and I-25. Greenwood Village out there toward the DTC, Centennial, looking at the potential for some hail within this cell. This cell has not gone severe. However, we could be tracking some pretty large hail within that and also strong winds. Just to the south, I want to show you kind of what's coming up the chain, and this next storm that just rolled off the foothills is going to be impacting our neighbors around Castle Pines North within the next 15 minutes. Whoo, did you hear that thunder? It is rocking and rolling across downtown Denver and right here overhead the 9 News studios. These are the severe thunderstorm warnings that we have in place at this moment. We'll start with the one to the north. This one is going to be impacting folks around Longmont. This is going to impact folks around the Loveland area too. It's lasting until about 3:30, so we still have another half hour to go. It's tracking off to the north and to the east, moving about 20 miles per hour. These are relatively slow-moving thunderstorms, hence the reason we have been looking at some flooding out there, a lot of street flooding, folks trying to get a jump start on the holiday weekend, and it is a mess out on the roads. Hang tight if you can, because these storms are going to be off to the northeastern plains within the next couple of hours. That particular cell out there is actually going to be putting down potentially quarter-size hail. Looks like the National Weather Service has actually just issued another severe thunderstorm warning. This one now extended out until 3:45 in parts of Weld County, just because this is going to be impacting our friends out there in Greeley before you know it. That cell that I showed you out there moving to the north about 15 miles per hour. Actually, we have seen some reports within this one, the potential for $half size hail. That's going to do some damage. So if you live in this area, this polygon that I'm showing you that encompasses Highway 85 heading up toward Greeley, I would ask you just throw the car in the garage if you can, the carport. Make sure that you keep that safe, because whew, this hail means business. The next severe thunderstorm warning that's just to the north of the Brighton area, that one remains into effect until about 3:15. Hail a little smaller, but still could do some serious damage. I'll click on this severe thunderstorm warning just to the south near Arvada. This one is going to last us until 3 o'clock, just a couple of minutes away. We'll see if the National Weather Service extends that out. I was looking at that cell, and it does appear to be weakening. However, $half size hail certainly could be a possibility with that. Let's go out to some video, because you folks, our viewers, our awesome viewers, have been our eyes and ears on the ground. This is around Golden into Arvada. You can just see all of that heavy rain coming through. Even the hail also has been hitting folks out there. Yeah, it looks like maybe pea-sized hail in the front drive. This one actually is coming to us from some viewers out there. It looks like Ruben sent this one in Westminster, the front yard, of course, the classic spot. Got to capture what Mother Nature is putting down, and it looks like once again more hail out there. Another video sent in to us by Aiden. This one looks to be, I'm getting reports from North Glen actually. Pea-sized hail, nothing severe, but certainly I know a lot of folks have been doing gardening, just trying to get excited about the spring season, and hopefully this hail is not doing too much damage as far as that is concerned. We do have another video too that I wanted to show you. This one coming into us from Arvada. That was actually from the cell that was just overhead about 20-30 minutes ago. Incredibly heavy downpours, street flooding out there too. It looks like, yeah, maybe the leaves coming down with the winds coming out of these thunderstorms. Our 9 News crews have been out on the ground. Meteorologist Lauren Robinson, you're in the Titan. No, you're not in the Titan. You're in another truck, but you have been monitoring these storms. You're actually at that one on the south side of town, right?
That's right. You were talking a little bit ago about storms on I-25 making your way between Denver towards Centennial, and that's exactly where we are right now. We did see some heavier rainfall a minute ago, but let's take a look outside so you can see our current conditions where we do still have this rainfall. We did see some hail not too long ago. We were on I-70 and Wadsworth and actually got some pretty decent sized hail. I couldn't tell exactly how large it was, but it definitely made our vehicle sound like the inside of a drum, so says my photographer Tom Cole. But it was we do still have more areas where we are expecting hail, and we're driving toward one of those areas now where we do have another pulse that's making its way along I-25 between Denver and Centennial. So that's why we're on I-25 southbound here. We're approaching the University Boulevard exit. Things right now have started to calm, but just momentarily. And if you are in one of these areas that's kind of seeing the rain die down a bit, don't let that throw you off, because we do still have several cells all around the area that do hold quite a bit of rainfall, strong winds, even the potential for hail. So as you can see here, cars have slowed down quite a bit. Earlier when we did see the hail on I-70 and Wadsworth, we saw those cars kind of packed under the bridges, under the overpasses, what you're not supposed to do. Right now things are looking a little better, so cars are driving along driving along with traffic. Traffic is kind of holding us up quite a bit, but again, you do just want to watch for these wet roads, and you could hit several different spots where we're seeing hail all around the Denver metro area. So that's certainly what I would recommend watching out for. If you don't have to be on the road, certainly don't. You don't want to take those hail risks. And if you have cars parked outside, if you have the ability or the luxury to bring them inside, certainly do that for the rest of the evening. But we will be out here through the rest of the evening, continuing to follow these storms just so you know what to expect and how to stay safe. Again, we're on I-25 southbound heading towards Centennial, kind of going in and out from a couple of other cells, but we will continue to keep you updated on what you can find out there. I think we're going next out to meteorologist Chris Bianchi. Chris, what do you have for us?
Yeah, Lauren, and you kind of just said a couple of important notes a second ago that folks should obviously not be seeking shelter right now with their vehicles under an overpass. And another thing to keep in mind, just saw a lot of cars out there. These storms are going to last another hour or so for the majority of the metro area, and then that's it. I know it's the start of the Memorial Day weekend. You want to get out and about. Maybe you're heading up to the mountains. If you give it an hour, things will get a lot better. I'm going to show you that in detail in just a second, but also want to show you what we've seen here over the last little while. Mountain View, of course, just the northwest of Denver, 1.5 inch size hail. For a little bit of context, that's the size of a ping pong ball. Federal Heights, 1.25 inches. That's the size of a $50. And then also for us here in northwest Denver, again, $50 sized hail. And this is about penny sized hail for us in both Wheat Ridge and Arvada. I would imagine as these reports continue to roll on in, we'll see quite a few quarter to maybe even close to ping pong ball sized hail reports. It's some pretty impressive stuff. Anything that is 1 inch in diameter or higher is considered to be severe caliber hail. Now, one thing that also stands out about this, Danielle and Lauren, we were just talking about this a few minutes ago as well. The span of this, basically everybody is getting a storm today. The last few days, most of us, maybe one part of the metro area got a storm, the rest of the metro area got left alone. Today, today, basically everybody is getting a storm. That's kind of a little interesting to me, and we've got about 100 miles or so of storms spanning the entire I-25 corridor, and those severe thunderstorm warnings right now mostly concentrated on the north side of town, but with the storm that Lauren was just in a second ago on the south side of town, one thing I want to note as well is notice how this storm just starting to kind of fizzle on down. That may be a little bit of good news, and that's why I think I'm pretty confident that over the next hour or so, things should really start to calm down. These storms are moving into a rain-cooled environment. That cooler air, it's not good for thunderstorms. That's likely going to weaken them as they head over the next hour or so, at least here in the immediate Denver metro area. So let's time this out for you. 3:30, that's only about 25 minutes from now. These storms pull off to the north and the east. So I think from kind of get up into Weld County as well as and certainly into Morgan County and kind of far southeastern Larimer counties. I think these are the areas that will be dealing with those storms probably the longest, but even for those of you joining us from, say, Lockbuoy, Fort Lupton on north into Greeley, Highway 34, you've probably got another hour or so of storms to go, and then things should start to get calmer for you as well. By 4:30, notice even again, Greeley out of the storms, Fort Collins out of the storms, Brighton, DIA, basically everybody storm free. And we can't entirely rule out another shower, even another clap of thunder once we get past this, but come 4:30, 5 o'clock, things will be significantly calmer for us here across the metro area, and those storms continue to lift their way off towards the east. Now, that said, those storms do continue to push their way off to the east. We calm on down here in the metro area, but for friends out on the eastern plains, we haven't talked about you a whole lot yet. And these storms, as they continue to pull their way off towards the east, they will continue to strengthen. So if you're watching us from Fort Morgan, from Sterling, Holyoke, Lyman, getting out here to Akron, Ray, you've still got, unfortunately, a few more hours of this severe weather threat to go out on the eastern plains from a Fort Morgan, Lyman line on east. That's where those storms will hang on the longest. In fact, you might notice out here in the Prowers and Baca counties, far southeastern Colorado, it may stay a while longer with those storms. But then Denver will clear things on out for tomorrow morning. And by the way, another threat for severe storms again for tomorrow. I know we're heading into the Memorial Day weekend. We don't want to be talking about those storms for tomorrow as well, but we've got that threat once again coming up for tomorrow. Want to leave you with this before I send things back over to Danielle. We got the severe thunderstorm watch that goes until 9 o'clock tonight. This includes the entire Denver metro area, the entire I-25 urban corridor, and extends east. The Denver area, I think this is, Danielle, where I'm going to send things over to you. I think for the Denver area, I think you'll probably agree with me here. The threat is really for the next hour or two, and then things should really start to calm on down for us, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, we're kind of in the thick of it right now. That's why we wanted to hop on and just kind of alert our viewers to what's happening right now and which areas have been looking at the most severe storms that have been popping up. I like that you kind of re-emphasize the fact that, unfortunately, we're going to have to deal with those storms again tomorrow. I know it's Memorial Day weekend. A lot of folks have plans, but you know what? Might as well be ahead of it because you want to be out hiking. It's just such a great reminder, right? For folks to head indoors when you hear thunder. Yeah,
it's Mother Nature's signal. You hear that thunder, you're close enough to be struck by lightning, so you hear that thunder, that's time to get inside. But Danielle, you mentioned it, again, it's May in Colorado, so this is the time of year we get these storms. Unfortunately, they are timed here with the holiday weekend.
I know, and the thing is, too, the past couple of severe weather seasons, Chris, have been so quiet here around the Front Range. So I feel like we're almost out of practice a little bit. Folks are like, wait, what? There's afternoon thunderstorms every day?
It's a really good point because the last few years have been kind of duds severe weather-wise for us across eastern Colorado. We haven't had a kind of a normal, quote-unquote, severe weather season here in Colorado, what, Danielle, since 2017, 2018? That was the last time we had a proper one. So the last few years have been kind of anomalies in terms of the fact that we just haven't had the usual severe weather that we are accustomed to here along the Front Range. What we're getting right now, what we're getting this week, if you're new to Colorado, folks, this is business as usual, right? Yeah.
Exactly right. And now we're kind of in the thick of it. And while we are having to deal with the severe threats of all of this, we're also getting that really nice beneficial rain, too, that's coming down. That we've already seen within the past couple of weeks some dramatic improvements as far as the drought monitor is concerned. We were looking at severe drought across much of eastern Colorado. And now, I mean, we're kind of looking really good.
Oh, this is, I mean, if you get rid of the hail, which, look, I understand, there's probably in some cases on the north side of the metro area, there's probably still some busted windshields from what we had a couple weeks ago. Right. That said, what we've seen in terms of the rainfall, 5 inches of rain in a month, and we avoided mostly high-end significant flooding. That is fantastic news. And it looks like Ireland out there once we get past all this hail.
It is so green, absolutely. Hey, Chris, I want to bring back onto Weather 9 if we can, just because we have, I want to kind of show folks exactly where we are looking at as far as the severe thunderstorm warnings go. I just threw on the lightning tracker. We have 308 strikes up and down the I-25 corridor, but a couple of those severe thunderstorm warnings that were going earlier that I showed you have since expired. Now we only have the severe thunderstorm warning in place for Weld County until 3:45. Again, this is going to include Highway 85. Within that cell, we do have the potential for seeing half-dollar sized hail, so that could be certainly messy out there. But this is kind of a look at the storm. It's pushing to the north, impacting our friends around Platteville, Greeley, Alt, and again through Brighton as well. Heavy downpours, a whole lot of lightning. In fact, we can throw on the lightning too, so you just get a good idea of what's happening out there, and it's a show to say the very least. Of course, that one cell to the south, it is not severe. However, it is still putting down some incredibly heavy rain. This is the one that meteorologist Lauren Robinson was driving through. Right now, it looks like the heaviest rain right there around 225, heading out toward Aurora, and eventually we'll be moving out toward DIA. Can't rule out potentially looking at a ground stop out there just because of all the lightning in place, the heavy rains. Plus, one of my favorite features is the fact that we can see the hail. The hail cores within these storms putting down some pretty impressive numbers. This is actually just within the past hour alone. Of course, the worst of the hail within that cell around Wheat Ridge and Arvada that we showed you just to the north of Brighton, they were looking at quarter-size hail. That's just indicative of those blue colors. And then further to the south into Centennial, it looks like pea-size within the gray colors, but it has been quite the show out there. I wanted to show you one of our CDOT cameras just to kind of get a good idea of what is going on around parts of the metro area. Again, this looks like I-25 and Orchard. I know it's Friday. It's a Friday before a holiday weekend. The heavy rain is coming through. Folks having to deal with these storms moving through, and it looks like folks taking it nice and slow. Well, you have no other option, right? Because we are looking at so much rain coming through. I wanted to give you a quick glance at a few more photos and videos that have come into the digital networks of 9 News. We love it when you folks can be our eyes and ears on the ground. Richard showing us this one, I-70 in Kipling out there, pea to dime sized hail. And it looks like it's not causing too many issues, but certainly folks are like, what is going on? It's Friday. I want to get on to my weekend. Come on, Mother Nature. This one, heavy rain, pea sized hail out there in Longmont within that cell that we've been monitoring too. This one, pea to penny sized hail in Arvada. That was the cell that we were tracking about 45 minutes ago, and I love the compare and contrast. If you can do this for us, this is awesome. Are we having fun yet, Longmont? Oh, you're funny, Matthew. You can see it looks like about penny-sized, maybe dime-sized hail within that one. Victoria, the backyard in Westminster getting dumped on not only with rain, but maybe a little bit of small hail too. Of course, the gusty winds helping to rip off maybe some leaves on the trees out there too. And again, hopefully everyone's gardens are going to be a-okay with this storm that has been pushing across parts of the metro area this afternoon. No indication exactly where this is at, but I feel you. It's across parts of the metro area where we're looking at some small hail out there, marble-sized hail. Okay, I love this video too because this woman, I believe in Evergreen, she was out there. She had to rescue the flowers. Look at how quickly she grabbed that planter box and raced inside. As always, we're going to be keeping a close eye on these storms for you over the course of the next couple of hours. Again, the worst of it, we're dealing with it right now. It's going to continue for about another hour before everything shifts east of I-25. Again, we have that one severe cell into parts of Weld County. Hail will be the biggest threat out of that one. I'm going to jump in if we get any more alerts for you, but right now we will send you back to our regularly scheduled programming, and we'll see you today on 9 News at 4.